You've booked a cruise, but what are the 21 essential things that you need to do before your cruise? I'm Tom from Cruising with the 4Bs. Welcome to the 4Bs HQ, our house. Let's begin at number 1. And the most important is getting your travel insurance and making sure that travel insurance covers cruises and where you're going. If you're cruising to the Mediterranean or Europe, it needs to cover Europe. And guess what? If it's anywhere else in the world, it needs to cover the rest of the world. Number 2, join your cruise Facebook group. Yes, when you book your cruise, some clever person would have made a Facebook group just for your cruise. And it's a great way of meeting other people, getting hints and tips on those groups. There's always going to be really knowledgeable people. And it's just a really good community. A lot of the cruise groups that we've joined have organised meetups on board and we've met other cruises. What you need to do is type in your ship, your date of travel, and you should find a cruise group on Facebook just for your cruise. Opening up larger, number 3, my tip is to head to Facebook groups for your cruise line and the ship you are going on. Please be aware that on these groups you do get, well, let's just say, some people that love the cruise line and will not hear anything against that cruise line. You'll also get people who every time they cruise seem to have the worst cruise in the world and for some reason are hanging around on these groups and still slagging off that ship. My advice to you is just take the 90% of people that are in the middle who are there to give help, advice. If you want to see people go absolutely crazy on a cruise Facebook group, ask if you can board earlier than your time, ask if you can sneak on spirits, and ask a question with the word boating, because there'll be people on that Facebook group which will absolutely explode. I get my popcorn and just read away. I have a bit of a dull life. Some of these are going to be related a little bit to MSC, as we've got an MSC cruise coming up. So at number 4, if you've got an MSC cruise, the month before, avoid any ABBA music. Because as soon as you get on an MSC ship, you'll at some point hear lots and lots of MSC are obsessed, mamma mia, with ABBA. So if you take a break from ABBA for a month, then in your week or 2 weeks away, you'll get your full quota of ABBA music throughout your MSC cruise. Word has it that there was a press release the other day, and I'll just get it here. From 2026, MSC will be piping through ABBA music throughout the day into your cabin. And in 2027, we're introducing a quiz at check-in for your ABBA knowledge. You get below 80% and you will not be allowed on the MSC ship. That was a joke, I think. Number 5, most cruise lines now, unless they're a bit behind the times, have an app. So as soon as you book your cruise, go and download the app. A lot of cruise lines like MSC and Royal Caribbean, Princess, this app will transfer over onto the ship and you can use it throughout your cruise as well. Beforehand, you can book restaurants, you can pay for upgrade. Number 6, though, related to MSC and other cruise lines, if you have a check-in time on there, ignore it until you get to check-in time around 30 days before, or whatever the Pacific days before it is for your cruise, because times can be all over the place. We've had 9 o'clock, we've had 5 o'clock. This will change 30 days before once you check in, and keep double checking it before your cruise. But if you're 6 months out, 5 months out, just ignore the time that you have on the website. It just seems to be a made up time they stick on the app. Number 7, most importantly, are you driving down? Book your parking. A rule of thumb with parking is there will be a provider for that ship. For example, down in Southampton for MSC, for Royal Caribbean, it's ABP Parking, the ones that own the port down there. P&O, Princess, it's CPS Parking. They will offer the most convenient parking. Normally, the parking will be right next door to the terminal. Step out, park your car, and you're straight onto the ship. But of course, that will be the most expensive. So my advice would be look around, take a look at all your different options, and see that if sometimes you can save about £100 and all you need to do is take a taxi down to the terminal. Make sure it's legit, make sure they've got reviews. Maybe again ask on the Facebook sites if anyone's got any tips or recommendations for parking. Number 8 is book your travel. If you're not travelling down in the car, book your travel nice and early. For example, if you're heading down to Southampton, the train station is really close by, a 10-minute walk to some of the terminals like Horizon Terminal. We do have official guides, and I'll link them down below in the description. Guides to Dover, Barcelona and Southampton, and these will give you all the hints and tips that you will need for travel down to your port. One of the things we do suggest is go the day before, because if you go the day before, then you've got no stress on the morning. Plenty of hotels in and around the ports. If you want to see all of those guides to different ports, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like. Thank you. Number 9, you may have speciality restaurants available on the app. For example, MSC do speciality restaurants bundled in together. You can buy 2 restaurants together for a price, 3 restaurants, 4 restaurants for a certain price. You can even do a package where you can add in a paid show. These can save you around £50. Sometimes there is offers on board, but generally these will save you a lot of money, especially with MSC. And don't forget as well, you're just buying the meal. So you're buying the meal package on the app. You're not actually buying a specific time. So when you get on board, you head to the screens or head on to your TV in your cabin or some of the restaurants, and you can go to them and you can book your times throughout the cruise. Hint and tip as well for MSC. They do have children's meals, but you only can buy those on board. They're around £12 at the time of filming, but you can't book those before. You can book those on board. So for example, if you are a family of 4, 2 adults, and you've got 2 kids, you can just buy beforehand maybe the bundle of 3 meals, and then that is all prepaid. And when you're on board, you'll just pay for the kids menu. But of course, if your kids are big eaters, you might want to buy the adult menu. Number 10, if there is paid shows on board, then book those up beforehand. You can make savings of up to £6, or if you combine it with prepaid meals, you can make a saving of £10 in the Carousel Lounge on ships like Virtuosa. Take a look at the prepaid shows. They are definitely worth it, and you can book those before. Don't forget, every ship always has a main theatre, and that main theatre is always included in your cruise fare. Another MSC one at number 11 is the Fun Pass. The Fun Pass gets you credit to go on F1, the bowling, the theatre, the arcade games, and it is great value for money if you purchase it before. You can get the Fun Pass for £70, and then you get double credit up to £140. For example, we're going on board this summer, and we're on a 2-week cruise, and we're going to purchase 2 of the Fun Passes, £140, giving us 280 credit on board. It goes onto 1 card. So if you really trust, I'm not sure I do, your kids, then you can pop the pass on theirs and they can just tap away. Or you can pop it on yours and then you just tap whenever they're playing. So for example, if you wanted to pay for the bowling, you can pay for that. They can take your card away and tap away, and then the money just comes off. A word of warning though, when you think you're getting towards the end of the credit, ask one of the members of the crew up in the game zone there, and they'll tell you how much credit you do have left, because you won't be told. So as soon as your credit runs out, you'll just be charged. So a word of warning. Number 12, they say no carbs before Marbs, and we say for MSC, no pizza a month before, because you'll be having your yearly worth of pizza and it's irresistible while on board. So no carbs before MSC. It doesn't really work. Number 13, buy clothes to suit your cruise. If you're going on a P&O, a Cunard cruise, then you will want some formal wear. You will want to get maybe a bow tie or just a tie. Of course, you don't have to dress up. On every cruise, there's always venues that you can go to where you don't need to dress up. If you are going on an MSC cruise, then it is generally a really relaxed attitude to clothes on board. As long as you're not offending people, as long as you're not naked and you're covered up, then generally it is a really relaxed and people don't really care what you are wearing on board. For example, they will have a gala night. We like to dress up, but when we're on Cunard, I like to wear a bow tie, for example. When I'm MSC, I probably would just go with a shirt and maybe a jacket. Other people really won't dress up on gala night. Perfectly fine. I remember being on Preziosa once. I was up on the second tier in the theatre, looked down, and there was a guy watching the show on gala night, and he'd just come from the pool with his kids, and they had a massive ring around and t-shirt, and in front of him was somebody in a bow tie. Did anyone care? No, they didn't. It is really a cool, relaxed atmosphere on board. Some of the nights that you will have on board, you will have a white night, and that generally, especially if you're in the Mediterranean, and a lot of times from Southampton, that is really well attended, and I would say 90% of people do put something on that's white. It's quite easy to put something on white, but it is a fantastic night. You'll definitely have gala night, as I said, quite a few people, especially if you've got a longer cruise and there's 2 gala nights. Normally the first one people would more likely to be dressing up, but you also got ABBA night, of course, Mamma Mia. You'll have an 80s night, a 60s, 70s flower power night. Those are the general nights. Those ones, less people dress up. But if you want to dress up, you go and do it. If you don't want to dress up, no one cares. 14, check excursions on the app. Every cruise line will do excursions. These excursions tend to be quite expensive, we found, and we tend not to do excursions. The only time we will do an excursion is generally if it's a long away from the port and our time is restricted, because they will wait within reason if you're on a excursion that is run by the cruise company. They will wait. If you go off on a train and you're late, they will not wait for you. One of the great things to do is double check with an excursion is the fact that they will be showcasing some of the best things that you can do in port. So I always take a look at excursions and then double check them with what we could be doing DIY. And what we'll do is pop down in the description below some of the sites that you can check out that will give you the best ideas as well for what to do in ports. Number 15 is, what terminal are you leaving from? Yes, if it's your first cruise, a lot of people actually don't realise that there is many terminals in each city. Barcelona has got 6, Southampton has got 5, Miami's got quite a few. So you will be going from a Pacific terminal. At Southampton, they part-funded Horizon Terminal, so 95% of MSC cruises will go from the Horizon Terminal. But sometimes, if they've got works in that terminal or there's 2 MSC ships in, you may be going from the City Terminal next door. They do have their own terminals in Barcelona and Miami, but double check, there's websites out there. I will again link them down below. One of the great ones, there is an ABP website for Southampton, and that will give you the exact timings right up to the minute of when the ships are leaving and what terminal you are going in. Number 16, another one that's specific to MSC. Out of Southampton, throughout the summer, you'll generally, 99% of the people will have one pickup. In Southampton, then you have the whole cruise and then everybody leaves. But if you're in Europe, Northern Europe, Mediterranean, then you will have multiple pickups on MSC. And on those days, they will blast through the safety messages on repeat, even into the cabin. So my tip for you, number 16, buy yourself earplugs if you want to have an afternoon snooze. Don't forget to buy adapters, especially if you're on an MSC cruise, an American cruise line. If you're from the UK, obviously you'll need the adapters for the American plugs and also for the European plugs. 18, check your loyalty status, because you will get different perks depending on what your loyalty status is. So double check these, because sometimes they do get missed when you're on board. If you know what your loyalty status is and what you get, maybe you get gifts for the kids, chocolate in the cabin, an hour in the spa. Maybe take a print off to make sure you get exactly what you have earned by being a loyal customer. And on that point as well, with MSC, they do match loyalty status. So there is a form on the website. You pop that form in, you've got to take a picture of your loyalty status card, etc., and they will match that. And straight away, when you go on your next cruise, your loyalty will be matched. So don't forget that. If you've got a high status with another cruise line, then match it with MSC and you'll get all the benefits. The thing we always forget on most cruises is cash for your cabin steward or other people you choose to tip. A lot of cruise lines now, tips and gratuities are included, but if you want to put something extra on top, and it's completely up to you, some people say, oh, let's make them a nice box of chocolates and deodorant. That is lovely, but I can tell you now, the crew would much prefer cash, and a cash of any kind. We'll get an upgrade email. This upgrade email will give you a price, and that will be based per person on the first 2 people. So if you're 1 person in a cabin or 4, you'll only be charged if you want to go for an upgrade for the first 2 people. You pop your bid in, it will give you a minimum bid, it'll give you a maximum bid, and it will give you a middle bid, and you can go somewhere in between. I would always say maybe don't go for the bottom, maybe just go above the bottom. 21, as you approach your cruise, take a look at the weather. The weather forecasts now are pretty accurate, and they will be able to say whether you need that coat for your cruise or whether you can have more space for your bikinis. And hit the screen right now for another fantastic 4Bs video.